leave my iCloud if I think they really on me though. When trial coming, ain't your phone and be your homie though.
This call is from a federal prison.
We in here, we got
Hello, y'all the lab?
We in the studio, we in this motherfucker getting to it, boy. We gonna roll out and got everything.
In a packed federal courtroom, silence fell as Lil Durk rose to speak. His voice low but firm, his eyes fixed on the judge. This was no ordinary hearing. The Chicago rapper, now facing federal murder-for-hire charges, was about to break the silence surrounding a case that had already shaken the music industry. His admission wasn't just surprising, it was downright unbelievable.
Durk, you said in the song, you said, I'm gonna stop dissing him, but his cousins, fuck them.
I said, whoever's still alive. I said, I'm stopped dissing the dead. That's what I stopped doing. His cousin's still alive. Everything I was doing was wrong in the sense of how I was doing it. I'm gonna say that.
What he revealed stunned everyone in the room, especially the judge, who reportedly paused for several moments, processing what had just been said. According to courtroom insiders, Durk's testimony wasn't part of a plea deal. It was voluntary. With his legal team by his side, he chose to address the court directly. And when he did, he acknowledged his connection to several individuals tied to a violent incident currently under federal investigation. But it's how he framed his involvement that took the courtroom by surprise. Rather than deny all allegations or blame others, Durk described the mental toll of living under constant surveillance and suspicion. He admitted that mistakes were made, but claimed they were rooted in fear and misguided loyalty, not premeditation or malicious intent. The judge's reaction was telling, raising eyebrows and even interrupting at one point to clarify a timeline Durk had laid out. Legal experts watching the trial say it's rare to hear this kind of directness in court, especially from a high-profile defendant. The moment was raw, calculated, and emotional, setting the tone for a trial that promises more shocking turns.
Rapper Lil Durk will stay in jail. He's facing charges after a shooting at the Varsity in Midtown. It's one of the three things you need to know right now. The judge would not grant bond to the rapper, whose real name is Durk Banks. He's facing charges after a man was shot outside the Varsity in February. The man survived. Banks turned himself into police yesterday. Thousands of families are at risk of...
Deep Thoughts appears designed not only to maintain his fan base, but also to navigate public perception and possibly even influence future legal outcomes. The project is shaped entirely by the looming threat of life imprisonment. Lyrics are self-censored, with any overtly violent or incriminating lines either scrubbed or muted. One such line, leaked in an early version of the track 1,000 times, once featured the phrase, "I'm gonna kill him and I shoot him dead for any child of mine." But that version never made it to the final cut.
Shots fired, a fight taken to the streets, and this chaotic scene, the ending of a shooting that started in Los Angeles, California. Sheriff's deputies pulling out a man who had been shot in an SUV. Savannah rapper Quando Rondo, a passenger in that car, frantic at the sight.
Emissions. Despite these creative restraints, loyalists argue that the album's very existence is remarkable. They point out that Durk is battling for his freedom while continuing to deliver new music, calling the effort a grind worthy of respect. Every element of Deep Thoughts appears to serve dual purposes. Tracks centered on loyalty and betrayal, like Think He Loyal, speak simultaneously to both street allegiances and courtroom dynamics, casting Durk as a leader, carefully navigating betrayal on all sides.
Lil Pep, he actually died in your arms.
That happening to my right hand, man.
Got it back in blood, y'all just don't know that's how it's supposed to be.
My beef is really mainly in the music industry. You coulda did this, he coulda did this, your little partner coulda did this. This the only thing about this life shit, my nigga. Ain't no rules. I might feel like I ain't shooting at that man hoe just cause I see her right here. You might feel like that. Bet, bro, you gotta live by no rules. Niggas commit an ass of crimes and wait till they go to jail to start praying. I ain't got no beef with nobody.
They said that you were the intended target in that situation.
All that shit you heard was cap. Nobody know what the fuck really going on, bro.
The prosecution's case is constructed on 3 primary pillars. The first is financial documentation. Investigators have linked OTF-associated credit cards to the purchase of airline tickets, hotel accommodations, and rental vehicles used by the suspects in the days leading up to the shooting. Flight records further reveal a coordinated timeline showing the alleged assailants traveling from Chicago to Los Angeles, reinforcing claims of a premeditated conspiracy. The second pillar is digital evidence. Prosecutors have amassed over 230 gigabytes of data from intercepted communications, including wiretapped phone calls, encrypted messages, and social media interactions. These materials reportedly contain coded discussions related to the plot, with phrases like "smoke that boy" and "handle business," interpreted as references to violent intent. A 2023 FBI affidavit from an unrelated investigation in Chicago adds to this, alleging that Durk offered financial rewards for retaliation in a separate incident tied to the 2021 murder of his brother, Dante D-Thang Banks. That affidavit was used to justify the court's denial of Durk's bail, painting him as an ongoing threat. The third and most contentious component is witness testimony. Federal court filings mention unnamed cooperators, including at least one individual believed to have been directly involved in the plot, who has since agreed to testify in exchange for leniency. These informants reportedly placed Durk at the center of planning, though the reliability of their testimony remains untested as the trial has yet to begin.
And, you know what I'm saying, was living in a hellhole and came home and boom. He been King Von, but he became King Von to the world.
Yeah.
So he would have been bigger than Durk because he was moving too fast, too quick.
Lil Durk now faces extraordinary odds in a federal system where the conviction rate for defendants exceeds 99%. Legal experts point out that conspiracy charges carry significant weight. Even if Durk did not directly participate in the shooting, he could still be held equally liable. Additional charges related to firearm use, including possession of a machine gun during a violent crime, add mandatory minimum sentences to the already serious allegations. Prosecutors have also presented arguments positioning Durk as a flight risk. After the arrest of his associates, authorities uncovered bookings for 3 international flights to Dubai, Switzerland, and Italy, which were never used. This discovery further influenced the decision to keep him in federal custody without bail. The trial, initially scheduled for January 2025, was delayed until October of the same year, with both the prosecution and defense acknowledging the unusually complex nature of the case. Durk's legal team is expected to argue that his name may have been used without direct authorization in financial records, and that the so-called coded messages fall under artistic expression rather than criminal conspiracy. However, the situation became more complicated with the unsealing of court documents detailing a second alleged murder-for-hire plot, this time in Chicago. Though Durk has not been formally charged in that case, prosecutors presented it as part of a pattern of retaliatory behavior. They cite a series of text messages referencing payments for the killing of Stephen Mack, a known gangster disciples figure. This secondary narrative could be a critical factor in how jurors perceive the scope and intent behind Durk's alleged actions. The inclusion of multiple cases, complex digital trails, and witness testimony means the upcoming trial could have lasting consequences for Durk's future, not just as a musician, but as a public figure facing some of the most severe allegations in modern hip-hop history. Durk's impact on the Chicago drill scene adds another layer to the situation. As one of the genre's most visible representatives, a conviction could slow the movement's mainstream momentum. Still, emerging talents like Lil Zay Osama and C. Honcho may carry the sound forward. Conversely, if the trial drags on, it may further mythologize Durk, making him a larger-than-life figure in hip-hop folklore. While federal murder-for-hire charges can, in theory, carry the death penalty, such outcomes are extremely rare. Since 1988, only 16 federal executions have taken place. Given Durk's limited criminal history and the circumstantial nature of the evidence, that outcome remains unlikely. But the mere existence of that possibility illustrates the seriousness of what's at stake. As October 2025 approaches, Lil Durk stands at a critical crossroads. He must weigh the risks of legal defeat against the cost of diminished credibility. A plea could preserve his future, but fracture his public image. A trial could secure his legend, but end in permanent confinement. All while whispers of a broader RICO investigation loom in the background, threatening to engulf more of his crew. What began as music born from pain and survival may now become a final chapter in a much larger story. Until the court delivers its verdict, Durk's fate remains in limbo, caught between freedom, legacy, and the full force of federal prosecution. Thanks for watching. If you found this breakdown insightful, make sure to like the video and subscribe for ongoing coverage of this case and more developments in the world of hip-hop. Tap the screen now to check out more deep dives from the channel.